In this video, I'm going to walk you through a case study. It is based on a setup that we did for a company that helps to staff different nursing homes. Basically, the clients are the nursing homes and they supply nursing homes with nurses. So, on the one hand, they need to manage all of the potential nurses, which are potential candidates for these nursing homes. And on the other hand, they need to manage the potential deals with all of these nursing homes. We use the Monday CRM, and I want to show you how we built out the CRM to fill their specific needs so they can manage this whole sales process.
Hi, my name is Tara, and I'm a certified Monday.com partner and the founder of Simpleday. My goal is to help you build powerful yet simple workflows with Monday.com. If you need help with a custom implementation, my contact details are in the description below. Let's jump into today's tutorial and make Monday the best part of your week.
Before we jump into this specific use case, I just want to give you a few more background details so you can understand exactly what the client wanted. So that way you can understand why this was built in a certain way. So basically, what happens is this client supplied nurses to different nursing homes. So what they needed to do is they needed to have a whole sales process for the nursing home. So they would need to find the contacts there, find out if there was any interest, find out what their needs were, and go through like a typical sales cycle with the nursing homes. Now, on the other side, they had another department that actually managed the nurses. So they needed to do things like collect different nurses that would be interested in jobs like this. They needed to check their CV. They needed to make sure that they were eligible for the jobs that they were potentially letting them apply for. And they also actually had a whole training program for them because basically they were bringing nurses from one country to another. So they had to have a training program in the language as well as in the certification. And they also needed to apply for visas. So just to make sure it's clear, there are kind of two sides of this process. One side is the sales side, where they're actually helping nursing homes getting more nurses and supplying them with relevant candidates. And on the other side is the office side, where they needed to, or really the HR, where they really needed to find nurses that were interested in these kind of positions, get them ready to apply for these positions. Then once they've been approved and they got a job, on the back end was like an onboarding process, because then they needed to apply for a visa, take whatever test they needed, and they also had a specific requirements that they needed to fill. So there was like a whole legal process of onboarding once the deal was closed with the nursing home. So I want to walk you through the setup of the CRM, of how we were able to achieve this for the client. Almost everything is done natively within Monday. The only thing that we had to do is we did have to use Make at one specific point. Make is a third-party tool that connects different apps. We had to connect Monday to Gmail because they wanted to send out emails to the client with very specific information. When we get there, I'll show you exactly what they wanted to do. But besides that, we didn't use any other apps. Everything was done natively directly within Monday. So let's here just to see the boards that were set up. If you look here in this folder called Staffing for Nursing Homes, so you can see we have a leads board, a contacts board, an accounts board, a deals board, activities board, sales dashboard. Now, this is your standard Monday CRM boards. We obviously did make changes to them, which I will walk you through. This is your standard CRM. Now, on the side, remember we had the HR department. So here we had the candidates board, and that's really where we manage the candidates. At the end of the process, when a candidate was chosen, we went to the onboarding board because that's where they manage the process of getting the visa. Now, there's also this board for state requirements. One of the things that happened within this process was that there were different nursing homes in different states within the US. So what that meant was that each state had different requirements for what they needed for these nursing homes. So they needed to make sure that they were adhering to these requirements. So we set up a very simple board where we have all the states. They had a document with all the requirements for the states, and then we pulled in the location. And we're going to use that later for a map view. So all three of these boards are not part of the standard CRM setup, but things that we needed in order to make this possible. Now, we start on the leads board. And now this process, we're talking on the leads in terms of this is the sales process to the nursing homes. So we have a basic leads board and we set up a form here. And what you can do is I am going to just fill in this form. I'm going to start by filling out this form and I'm going to make up someone named Joe, and he is going to be the CEO of Riverdale, New York nursing home. Skip that because he has the same name. And here I'm going to just enter in a number of the estimated RNs and CNAs. So I'm just going to say that estimated he needs 5 of each because sometimes people need both of them. And I'm going to submit this form. Joe, you could see that he showed up on my leads board. I can assign a lead owner, and he came in as a new lead. And all the information that was submitted in the form can show up here. Some people use the forms on their website, or they just use it internally because it's easier than entering information here. Now, I do want to show you these columns here. So we do have the contacts and accounts. There are automations set up that if this account was already existing, it would, or the person was already existing, it would match it with match automation. So it wouldn't create a new account or a new contact. If you want to learn more about that, I highly suggest that you check out the link to the video above about match automations. It's a little bit of a complicated topic, so I don't want to get to it in the details within this video. The next thing that we have over here is state requirements. Now, as I said, they're working within different states within the US, so there's different requirements. So what someone would do is they would come here and choose a state. For this example, we're using New York, and you can see that it automatically pulls in the state with the document, and it pulls in the details, the location, because we're going to need that for a map later. And here I have an automation that's set up to automatically set the creation date, because in my dashboards later, I do want to chart how many new leads came in per month. So we need the creation date. And that's a simple automation that says when item is created, set date to today into this creation date. We also have the number of estimated RNs and estimated CNAs. Now, the automations that we set up is based on the status changing over here. So as you can see, they do have a few statuses that go through a process of qualifying the lead. So they have like a first call, a second call, a handoff. They do like an overview. But basically, when they change the status to a hot lead, for them, that means that they're qualified and they want to move them to the deals. Now, as soon as someone is moved to the deals board, it also creates them as a contact and an account within their database. So I'm going to change this to a hot lead and we'll see what happens. Now, you can see on my deals board that this deal came in for Riverdale, New York home, because here they want the deals to be based on the location, like the company, as opposed to the person's name. It came in as a new deal. And you can see that it is connected to the contacts. And it also brought in other information that I had, like the number of RNs and the number of CNAs. So if you go here, I just want to show you in the contacts board, you can see that it created a new contact. All the information flowed in, it's connected to the deal. And if you go to the accounts board, you can see that the account came in and it's also connected to Joe. So all of the information is now within my database within Monday.com, which the database is what I call the contacts board and the accounts board. Now, from this point of this setup, we're ready to move forward with finding candidates. Now I want to take a pause on this side and I want to move to the other side of the company where we're managing the HR process. So that way you can see how that starts until both need to meet on the deals board. So now let's go to that other process. So the other process starts on the candidates board. And here you can see we have some new candidates and we have a pipeline and candidates that already have moved forward. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is there are 2 AI columns. Basically, what they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to upload a CV to this files column and have it automatically extract the data. So since I made up these examples, I will upload a CV to show you how it works. I just added some really basic details because it's just a test. But once I upload the file, what is supposed to happen is it's automatically supposed to pull the phone and the email. Let's see if that happens. In the meantime, I just want to show you the rest of the board. So you can see that we have type here where you could mark a CNA or an RN. We have a resume link because they also wanted to link it to their Dropbox. And then we have all the columns about their information, like what they're up to for the review status, if the date that it was sent for review, once they're actually applying for a job. And we also have a column for the contracts. I'm going to get to all the other columns later because this is the beginning process where we're just uploading this information. Now, as I look back at my columns, I see that the AI columns were not did not pull in the data. So I'm actually going to do some live troubleshooting because I want to show you this is a newer column within Monday, which is really cool. So first, I'm going to delete my resume that I had added here. And I realized that I did not check the settings of my AI column before I started this. So here I'm going to click on the 3 dots, autofill with AI, and then I'm going to customize. And I have to choose which file I'm pulling this data from. So I'm going to choose resume file and save and apply. And I'm going to do the same thing for the phone number, resume file, save and apply. Now we're going to go back and try that again. I am going to load a CV and let's see if it works this time. So here I've added my CV and you see that it automatically pulls in the email, which is pretty cool. I have a feeling that the reason that it didn't pull in the phone was because the formatting on the phone was not, formatting on the phone number within the CV was not correct because it didn't have a country. So I think that's what messed this up. But I'm going to have to do another video about these AI columns because they're pretty cool. But you can see that I have some information that was automatically pulled in. Now I also can add in information, all the information that I have about the client, about the candidate that I want them to have. Like I can add in who the recruiters are. So this is the beginning of the board that they use to start to analyze who the candidates are. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually now go back to the deals board because we're going to pretend that we're looking for a specific deal. And I'm going to show you how it works. So let's go back to our example here of the Riverside, New York home. The first thing I wanted to show you on this deals board, and we're going to run through a deal with the Riverdale, New York home, is that we entered the estimated number of RNs and number of CNAs. Now, there's a formula here for the forecast value based on this number. So if you enter in the number of RNs, let's just say they cost $100 each. Obviously, these are made up numbers. And the CNAs are $50. So you can see based on these numbers that this calculation is done. Now, once we enter actual numbers, we have that same calculation that's going to show up here. But this is going to give us our forecast value. Now, as soon as we're ready to get started and start picking candidates, what you need to do is you're going to come to this deals board and you're going to go to the connected board column to the candidates column. Now, this is connected to the candidates column and you literally can just pick people. Now, I do need to fix something that I said before. I said that we only use Make for an integration with Gmail, and that's actually not true. I just remembered it now as I am doing this part of the video. We did create 2 Make automations that create sub-items when a connected board column is chosen. So what happens, and I'll just show you as an example, let's just say I'll add Alma here. So I'll choose her as a potential candidate. You're going to see that it's going to create a sub-item over here with her information. See, here's her name, and it's connected to the candidates board. It does the exact same thing on the candidates board, but in the reverse. Instead of pulling in her name, it pulls in the deal that she's connected to. Now, the reason that we did this, because on the deals part, they're basically sending a lot of candidates to this nursing home. And some candidates they'll say are good, and some candidates they're going to say that they're bad. They're not going to want them, but they want to have a total list of all the candidates that they've sent to the nursing home. So as they add more candidates, you can see that it's going to keep on creating sub-items. So they can always look to see like, oh, which people did I already send to this nursing home? Are they good for them? Are they not good for them? They have everything in one place. Now, just to show to you on the reverse, The person on the candidate side, they also need to know which place they sent the candidates to. So if you go here, you see Alma, you see here, it's showing that she's in the Riverdale, New York home, and the same for Rosa, and they're connected. So again, this is using a two make scenarios, I believe, in order to automate that. So we have a total list. So basically, what happens is they say, okay, we have these two candidates that we now want to send to the Riverdale, New York home. Now, we can automate the sending of an email that says, like, hey, Joe, here's two candidates that are good for you. Here's their information, and so on. Now, the client actually didn't want that because they've already had a correspondence with Joe. So they didn't want to start a new email sending the candidate. So what they wanted to do is we actually used Make to create a draft email within their Gmail. It creates a draft email with the information. So it pulls in the names of the candidates and it pulls in the information about the candidate. So what you need to do is you need to go over here to this column called Send Email, and it's going to create an email in my Dross. I'm going to show it to you in a minute as soon as it comes through. Now you can see here I'm in my Gmail and I have a draft that I've just pulled up. You can see it pulled in the name of the potential client that we're speaking to. And you can see here that it pulled in Alma with a link to her drive. We actually didn't have a link to Rosa. That's why nothing pulled in. But this is a link to her CV. Now, we could have added more information if they wanted. Had there been more connected candidates, we would have added them as well. But this is the email that was automatically created. And then they could just copy this and paste it within the existing conversation within the client to say, like, here are the potential candidates. Now, as the deal progresses, we have different stages, so you can change the status of this stage column. You also can write notes if you click here. So you can see here that we have the open item card where we can use the emails and activities to add an email. If we want, we can add an activity. Like, let's say we had a meeting with the client and I can just say, met with client, and I can write whatever I want. This is going to create a running log of all of the history with the client. So that way you have it. And it's also going to update it in the activities board. So see, you can see it automatically came in, and this is an automation that's set up. It automatically came in that I was the owner, I had a meeting, here was the time, and here's the information. So this is a good way for managers can manage the activity. Now, back to the deals board. As this deal is going on, things usually change in a deal. So as we said here, we started with that this client wanted 5 RNs and 5 CNAs. Now, as the deal progressed, let's just say they changed their minds and they decided that they actually want 4 of each. So you can see that these numbers are different. This is a formula column. And sometimes they give a discount. So maybe they decide to give a $100 discount. And you can see that this total price is updated. Now, all this information is pulled into our dashboards. If you go to the sales dashboard, just to show you, you have your forecast value. We don't have a lot of information entered here, so that's why it's not fully filled in, but you have a lot of information, forecasted revenue by stage, just the information that we have filled in within the deals board. Now, as you progress through working with these different people, they also will have a contract. So you can add a contract here if you want to have it. Now, let's just say that they're ready to move forward with these people. Okay. This client, Joe, decided, these two are, I said he closed on 4, pretending he closed on 2. And let's say he's like, these 2 nurses are really great. I want to hire them for my nursing home. So he needs to change these statuses to hired. Now, once we change these statuses to hired, what's going to happen is it changed it within the candidates board. I don't know if you just saw, but that changed back to green. This is all, again, done because we set these integrations up with Make. Now, if you go to the candidates board, so you can see that they're hired, they will actually move to the hired group. So from the HR department, this is taken care of. Now, what happens once they're hired? Once they're hired, they're ready for onboarding because they're ready for the next stage. So if you go to an onboarding board, you can see that these two people were automatically added to this onboarding board. And in this board, this is where we manage the legal part of getting a visa and then them taking a prep course until they're ready to go. So basically, you could see that we have a view here for the legal view. And the legal view has a status and they have a summary of all the documents that they need. So basically, like these are all the documents that they need and they go through step by step. Let's just say we started getting them for this lady, Rosa. And as you see here, we can see that we're 40% of the way completed. We could say that we're working on it. And then as people get their documents, they go down vertically within this board. So then once they have everything, they actually would come here and they can say that they're approved. We have a visa date. And it goes through the status that they're in a prep course and they go through the different stages that they need. Now, there's other things they need to ask them, like, do they need to get a social security? What's their test date for the state exam that they need to take? Different things that they need to add on as this process goes on. But basically, this onboarding process is for the internal team that manages them until they're ready to start their new job, which is really exciting.
Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and remember to subscribe to receive tips and tricks on how to use Monday.com. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you soon.